Welcome to Ukrainian Easter Eggs, PYSANKY. How to write Ukrainian Easter eggs. Okay, so you've got your egg, now you're ready to write. You've got your white egg. You might have used a pencil, and I always encourage you to start, people to start writing right onto an egg that you're holding in a Kleenex, because the less you handle it, the better off. Anyway, you've warmed up your kiska. After you might use a pencil to draw some basic lines, but the whole process basically is you'll draw on the egg, and whatever I'm coloring right now, right, ends up staying white. So I'm just going to draw a basic little star. It's not really a particular pattern, just so I can walk this egg through the process over the next few minutes. So I'm drawing on here, trying to make it as one stroke, and I'm just going to draw a very simple star that might occur on the side of an egg. So the areas that I'm drawing on will be in white, and I simply want to draw straight lines. A lot of the Ukrainian patterns are geometric, and you'll notice the wax is black. The line underneath, when we're finished, will actually not be black, it'll be white, right? And so basing on your pattern, you actually have to think backwards. Whatever you want to be in one color, you better cover. So it's a little bit of there's a fair bit of artistic work to that. So we're going to put this egg in yellow. Vinegar dip. So we've got our vinegar dip, and I actually use pure vinegar. I'm just very careful about being able to make sure, oops, got the hand stuck on there, being able to make sure that I watch it. So I put the egg tilt, put it in there carefully. You have to make sure the egg's completely covered. In this case, I could use a little bit more vinegar in here. And I'll let it sit in here for, maybe a minute and a half or so. So I'll show you as a minute expires here. You'll see it's already happening. The egg is starting to get bubbles forming on the surface. I'm not sure if you can see that, but if you just look below the surface, you'll see the egg is getting some tiny little bubbles. Anyway, vinegar dip is done. I pull out the egg, and resting it carefully on the side, I don't want to drop it, I'll put it into the yellow. Got to be careful with these dyes. If you end up dropping these dyes on your clothes or on the carpet or on any furniture, say goodbye to the coloring. So I dropped the egg into the yellow, and you'll notice because I used that vinegar, the super strong dye. I always make sure that I dye my eggs in double strength, meaning if the package says to put it in one cup of water, hot water, then I put 2 packages into the same 1 cup of hot water. So all my dyes are double strength because I like bright colors. Anyway, I leave it in there for about a minute. You'll notice that it's quite strong, so it comes out rather quickly. And I pull it out, being careful not to touch the egg anymore at this point, right? And you can just put it to the side and let it dry, the egg, and then we'll come back and start writing on it in a minute. We'll give it a minute to dry. Okay, so we're finished with yellow. I've patted it dry. Often it does take a lot of Kleenex. The reality is, have a Kleenex box carefully around. You do want to be careful. This wax and stuff, if you touch it, would wreck it. Obviously, this Kleenex could be dried and used for another egg in yellow if your person wanted. now we're coming out of orange, and you'll see, boy, do I have a nice bright orange egg, and that's primarily because of the fact that, again, vinegar and never touching it. Vinegar and never touching it. So you can't go and write on here right away. I need to blot off the dye a little bit and then set it aside to dry a bit. Otherwise the wax won't stick. So in this case, what I'm looking for is I'm warming up the Kiskas. What I'm wanting to do is fill in any areas that are going to be orange. Well, in my case, what I want to do here in orange happens to be 1/2 of these. So now, moving inside the lines that I've created previously, I'm actually going to fill in this area. And a real cool star pattern is filling in every second, because you have a star within a star. You'll see when we're finished. So I'm actually going to fill in, and again, you're always making sure that you got enough wax, always making sure that you're warm enough, and staying within my original lines. Anyway, so that's what I've decided to do in orange. The traditional color set is yellow, then orange, then red. So we're going to head into red. And again, being very careful not to touch anything else. It's okay to take an orange colored spoon and touching my orange egg. I'm still alright. And then actually put it into the red, because the red is the darker color. You'll notice it's a very dark red. Quite quickly it's turning to my egg is red. And we'll come back after a moment. Okay, so I've pulled it out of red, and we're into our last little color. If you come in nice and close here, you in fact can see that what I'm doing is I'll add and cover in the areas that are going to be red. And in this case, I only have one color left. Right? Again, making sure that your Kiska's got enough egg or enough wax in it, and it's warm enough. Sometimes the tips of them get plugged up, and so that's a little bit of a challenge, because the way that you can get them unplugged is you can go and get a little piece of wire. Of course, you have to find extremely thin wire, and you can try to clean them out that way using wire. So the last color to put your egg in is into black. Carefully putting your egg into black. You want to check it frequently. 3 to 5 minutes is a good time. But if you leave it in there for half an hour, sometimes the black dye can seep underneath and underneath the wax. So you want to be careful, not too long. So that's the last color. Well, one of the things you do in this last stage is, good, we now have to remove the wax. Some people take the egg and put it in an oven put the eggs, and you actually put it on broil. It's rather dangerous, or a little bit dangerous. Simply dangerous meaning sometimes your egg can explode because it gets cooked from the inside. So that's rather dangerous. But usually people don't have access to a stove when they're doing this in classrooms or stuff like that. So the other way is to deal with it using a candle. And the issue with a candle is you've got to have a fair bit of flame. If you have a tiny little flame, when you put your candle in there, or your egg, what ends up happening is the flame wraps around and burns the backside of your egg. So you end up having an egg that's burnt. So being very careful that you don't have any other things. Again, at this point, really, you just have to watch that you don't have any water or sweat on your fingers, because it'll actually make the colors run. But you bring it into the edge of the flame, and with a clean one, you wipe it off. And you see our nice little color. Again, a nice long flame like this works really good, simply because with that long flame, you get a fair bit of surface area. Again, it's a little bit tricky. You're dealing with a real egg. It will break if you drop it. And so I'm holding it on the edge of the flame, getting a certain area, and the more wiping, always using a fresh piece of Kleenex, and making sure, if you can, your fingers are nice and clean. And that's how you expose your color. Okay, so you've got your nice little egg all cleaned up. This particular egg did not take very well in terms of color. You only see the black is not super black. My dyes aren't exactly brand new. They've been sitting in some of those containers for a while. But particularly, some eggs just simply won't take the dye. Anyway, from here, how do I get it to be nice and shiny? Because you'll notice my egg is shiny and the other one is not. Well, that has to do with what you do at the end, and that is varathane. You simply take your fingers, dip it in the varathane, smear it over, and then put it on well, actually, if you put some nails up through a board, you can put it on a little tiny stand, and basically you let your egg dry for 24 hours with a varathane cover. And then we'll do the last part, which is actually what you can do is blow them out. And I'll talk about that next. Okay, blowing out the egg. This is a blown out ostrich, or goose egg actually, just like these ostrich eggs are. And you can do the same thing, obviously, with a chicken egg. So this one's blown out. And the reason why you might want to consider blowing them out simply is by the fact that if you ever break the egg later in the future, rotten eggs don't smell very good. So how do you actually blow them out? Well, after you've varnished it and it's dried, so the next day or whatever, you actually, a Dremel tool works really good. You can put a little drill on it, you drill a hole on one end, you might see one right here on the end of it, and a hole on the opposite end. It's better to do it on the ends as opposed to the center because it's easier to crack an egg in the center than on the points or near the point. Try to finding a design, you'll notice these are even hard to find, the actual spot where they did. Anyway, and then you can, what you end up doing is you can take a little syringe, works really good, that you'd find a medical syringe, if you can get that, or we grew up on a farm, so we had cattle syringes, and you put the egg, or put the needle inside and actually suck out the egg. Another way to do it is you can actually blow them out. You can actually blow on the hole on one end, and it'll go on the other end. It's pretty tricky. You don't want to make too big of a hole, and that's really an advanced technique. I wouldn't do that for any egg because it does take probably half an hour to deal with one at a time. Well, thank you for watching this video, and I hope you learned something about how to make Ukrainian PYSANKY in 7 or 8 easy steps.